At this point, we have a special treat for you, an inspirational message I think that you will find very moving. We have Michael Haywood Goodroe with us today. I know that his father is here and his mother as well. I'm just going to say a few things about Michael, a little bit about his story, and ask him to come up. Michael was diagnosed with severe autism when he was younger and severe learning disability, and was told that he would never be able to live an independent lifestyle. Experts said that really there was no reason to go to school. So against all odds, Michael went on to earn his BA in history from the University of West Georgia and an MBA from Reinhardt College. So he works full-time as a data processor, has a third-degree black belt, sings at fundraising events, and serves as a motivational speaker. So he also has written this book. All of you should be getting a copy of this. He will be available during the break to sign your copy in the hallway. What Autism Gave Me, a real story of triumph for him. So with that, I would like to ask Michael to come up and speak to us about his experience.
Thank you, Dan. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Goodroe, and I'm glad to be here in the University of Georgia. Go Dogs! All right. I'd like to share with you my story. From an early age, something was wrong. I was unable to communicate, and I was unable to follow directions. This led to me being diagnosed as autistic. Now, autism is a condition that can affect a person's IQ, motor function, social, and communication skills. And depending on the severity, someone can be diagnosed either high or low. All four of my areas were compromised, which led to me being diagnosed as low-functioning autistic. I had been tested from as young as 4, but I'd like to share with you a test I took when I was 6. Now, this red line represents the average, and these dots represent my test scores, which shows that how bad it was. Another example were were picture problems. The tester would hold up a picture and he would ask the question, "Why is the boy crying?" Not knowing how to answer, I said, "Why is the boy crying?" This went on no less than 3 times. After all the testing, my parents were given only one option. I would not be allowed to go to school, and when I came of age, I would live in a group home. No chance for an independent life whatsoever. So my parents had to either accept what was going on, or, as Robert Frost once said, I saw 2 roads in front of me, and I took the road less traveled, and in that has made all the difference. They decided to take the road less traveled. Now, the people who tested me, they were good people. They just felt that it was cruel to ask my parents for me to do more than I was capable of. That they decided to have an intervention, and they told my mom that she needed to accept my limitations. Well, you see, at the time I was diagnosed, autism wasn't as widespread as it is today, and the internet wasn't a thing. So my mom had to read periodicals to try to understand what was going on. Many behavioral psychologists didn't know how to treat autism. So they were divided. Some even suspected that punishment was a way to deal with children with autism. Thankfully, my parents didn't do that. Bruce Lee is a personal hero of mine. I quote him in every chapter of my book. He said, "If you think a thing is impossible, you will make it impossible." My parents believed that it was possible for me to achieve. Now, my brain at the time was like a hive of honeybees without a queen. Very disorganized, eyes going everywhere, no direction. The goal was to get my brain working like a kaleidoscope, where everything came together, where all the pieces fit, and where we were all succinct. Now, my parents decided to focus on 3 problem areas: my motor function, my auditory processing skills, and my communication skills. To give you an example of the Herculean task my parents had in front of them, I could not walk in a straight line. I could not swing without help. I had the most atrocious balance you could imagine. When it came to speech, I would mostly just parrot what I would hear from movies and TV shows. And with my auditory processing skills, people would often have to tell me things multiple times before I understood it. When I was about 5 or 6, there came the time for me to go to elementary school. However, every school in the Atlanta area that dealt with special needs children all thought I was a lost cause. All except one. My only option to go to elementary school was a school for children with extreme behavioral problems that was run out of an old house called Mill Springs Academy. But despite it all, I met wonderful teachers and great friends, and it was a wonderful school that I am thankful that I went to. Now, my parents were also told that music could help with a child's brain function, so they signed me up for piano classes. However, every piano teacher they sent me to would wash their hands of me after a lesson or two, all except one, a former New York opera singer named Francesca Richards. She became like a part of my family, and she never gave up on me when so many others did. Now, my parents were also told that karate could help with a child's brain and motor skills develop. And I like stuff like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, so it was kind of a win-win. So my parents found a karate school that took a chance on me, the U.S. Title Association, where I also met wonderful teachers and made some great friends that I cherished greatly. Now, we all know the phrase, "It takes a village to raise a child." But that's not always the case. Sometimes it takes a superhero, whether that was with school, karate, or my music classes. These people were superheroes to me in the fact that they didn't give up on me, and they showed me that it was possible for me to achieve. Now, at my school, we were encouraged to write goals upon listening to feedback from other students and the faculty. And if you ever saw Matt Damon's The Martian, you would know that Matt Damon said, solve one problem, then solve another. And by the end, you would have solved them all. And that's how we approached our goals. We would listen to our goals, we would try to meet those goals, and then we would go on to the next goal, and so on and so forth. An example is communication skills. Autistic people struggle with communication. I'm no different. I've struggled with communication skills my whole life. An example is, in 7th grade, one of my weekly goals was to say hi to the teacher when I entered the room. I met that goal within 2 weeks. My next goal, however, was to make sure the teacher was actually in the room before I said hi. In doing research for my book, I found interesting comparisons between a normal person's brain and an autistic person's brain. A normal person's brain is like a computer. There are programs built in that they can build upon and learn. Whereas an autistic person's brain is like a library card catalog. Some of that information is not there, and we have to experience that information ourselves to understand and grow from it. Now, despite all of this, you would think with everything going on in my life, it would be all sunshine and rainbows. Sadly, progress was not always obvious, and it was never more obvious than when I took the California Achievement Test in 6th grade. Now, if you see this red line, is below the average, and my test scores were indeed below. Now, I'd like to share with you a story my mom told me about 4 dead-end kids who had dyslexia. For those of you that don't know what dyslexia is a condition where letters are jumbled up, making it difficult to read words. There were these 4 kids that were considered dead end. One kid taught himself how to read by just reading comic books and sort of putting together the stories. Now, they said they would never achieve anything, but these kids would go on to prove them wrong. And an example of these kids are Richard Branson of Virgin Mobile and Virgin Airlines, and Charles Schwab of, well, Charles Schwab. Another example is Paul Orfalea, the founder of Kinko's. He always said that as a young kid, it felt like the angels were whispering to his classmates. That's how it felt when he saw others reading so well. He said that if you could survive childhood, that it was like boot camp, that you would learn things like risk-taking, problem-solving, and resilience. Yes. I also bring this up because Paul's mother kind of reminds me of mine. She never gave up on me, and neither did his. She told him to help him feel better and grow stronger. The A students work for the B students. The C students run the business, and the D students dedicate the building. My life has always been the tortoise and the hare. I was always leagues behind everybody else. But despite it all, I gained a sense of persistence. I learned to never give up no matter what I wanted to do to achieve what I wanted. I learned to be goal-directed. I learned to listen to what people wanted me to improve upon and try to improve that. And I learned that at whatever I did, I had to work harder than anyone else to get what I wanted. An interesting study I learned in doing research for my book was about IQ versus attitude. It said that attitude was a better predictor of success than IQ was. And the idea of a growth mindset, someone who believes you can improve with effort, it's an amazing thing to learn. Now, I wanted to go to college like any other 18-year-old. However, if you're starting to notice a pattern, my test scores were below the minimum for admissions. I had my heart set on this one school, the University of West Georgia. Well, you know what they say, when God closes a door, he opens a window. Oh. I learned that I could audition for the head of the music department because I had been trained in classical singing by Francesca Richards, my piano teacher. She also taught me classical voice. I sang classical music to the head of the music department, and he was so impressed. I didn't tell him my SAT scores until after. And then he went to the admissions board to get an exemption to let me in. And they thought, why not? This kid will probably wash out before his first semester's even over. I had made it to college, but that didn't mean it was easy. I had to buy 2 sets of books, one for me, one for my parents, to help me learn. I had to take all my tests in the learning annex so that I could be away from a lot of distractions and work with the computer, because I'm actually a better typist than I am with penmanship. And I always made sure I never missed a day of class, even when I was sick, because I believed that if I ever fell behind, I would never be able to catch up. But against all expectations, I graduated college with a BA in history. I went on to get my MBA from Reinhardt University. I work full-time as a data processor. And after over 25 years of blood, sweat, and tears, I became a 3rd-degree black belt in karate. In 2018, I competed in an international competition in Japan, and I won a bronze medal, which I'm very proud of. I dedicated my book to my teacher, Mitsunobu Uchida, a great man who taught me to never give up, who instilled in me a samurai-like fighting spirit that helped me go through a lot of my life. Bruce Lee said, "As you think, so shall you become." I thought I could achieve greatness, that I could be anything I wanted, and I set out to do just that. If you'd like to know more, I recommend picking up my book, What Autism Gave Me. It's available on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and iTunes. Now, I like to end with a song. One of my favorite musicals is The Man of La Mancha. In it, Don Quixote wants nothing more than to be a knight, but everybody says that knights are gone from the world. But he says, as long as I give everything I have, then it'll be worth it. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms get too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause.